Good afternoon, everybody. This is Eric with American Business Systems, and certainly want to welcome you here this afternoon. I hope that your Labor Day weekend was a great weekend and ready to get things started back on your track of doing your due diligence on your business opportunities, whatever you might be working on, especially with us here at American Business Systems. Today, we're going to be talking about how to launch a new business and acquire clients. Folks, there's no doubt that this is one of the biggest questions that we get here is how do we get clients? So that's what we're going to be talking about today again. Again, my name is Eric Ogea. I'm the Director of Research and Development here at American Business Systems, and certainly want to welcome you here this afternoon. But before we get too further into the webinar, we want to make sure that you're able to hear us okay. So if you will check your speakers and make sure that they're turned up, or if you've dialed in, here's your dial-in code. And with that said, we want to make sure that you are hearing us. So if you don't mind tapping on that little hand there in your control GoToWebinar control panel, that will allow us to know that you're hearing us loud and clear. So I'm going to start checking some hands here. So I've got one hand up. Oh, here we go. Maher, we got John, we've got Michael, we've got Mike. Good to have you guys here this afternoon. So Danny, if you can hear me, you can click on that little hand. Felix, there's another John. There's Patrick, thank you, William. So thanks so much. Looks like we got all hands raised here, and they're all still coming in. And again, thank you for joining us today. I want to share with you a little bit who we are here at American Business Systems. You see here on this screen that we are dealing with all different sorts of ways to help the doctor collect, and we'll certainly get into those as we go through the presentation today. Who is American Business Systems? Well, we've been around for 20 years. Helping people just like that you're seeing there on the screen, especially these who are actually licensees of American Business Systems for 20 years, helping getting their business up and going. I want to take special attention to this left-hand corner down here, Benny Biordi. I'll be actually talking about Benny here towards the end of the webinar today, and then getting you interested in maybe attending next Wednesday's webinar. But for folks, if you haven't been out to our website, we want to at least start here. Our website is absystems.com. This is where you'll be able to find out more about us, all about the business package, the income potential, the news, where all the blogs portions of our information is. You'll also find out how much it costs, how do you get clients, how much can you make, how do I get started. But for further due diligence, for a little bit deeper due diligence, and a lot of people take advantage of this, and that's through these orange buttons here where it says request more information or get started here. This will actually get you into what's called our virtual brochure. Folks, this is a great way to learn more about the opportunity, a more in-depth way to look at about how we help you get clients, the training, the support. You really want to get into the technology side of it. And again, we're going to be talking a little bit about that today. But folks, again, this whole thing that's been developed, and as I'll introduce to you here in just a moment, Jason Pettit was very key and very instrumental about how all this came together. So you certainly want to take advantage of that. We're also going to be talking about our web-based platform of medical billing and electronic medical records today. We're actually going to take you on a very brief demonstration, just to show you some screenshots of both of them today. And so you're going to want to pay attention to that because you too can get the opportunity to actually see a live demo of the system, and this will actually help you to understand about how we help you get those clients. Back here on this one about the Better Business Bureau, folks, we have an A+ rating. A lot of people want to ask us about this business is not accredited or BBB accredited. All that means, folks, is that we have never joined the Better Business Bureau here in Fort Worth. And it's not because we don't want to, it's just because we don't want to have any distractions thinking that we're doing anything to get this A+ rating. That A+ rating is because we certainly have earned it, and we want to keep earning it the right way. And we want to welcome you to come by and visit our office at any given time here in the Keller area, which is the north part of Fort Worth. It's just a little community north of Fort Worth. If you're going to fly in, you would certainly fly into the DFW area. We've had people almost the last couple of weeks continually come by and visit our office, and those that are potentially looking at becoming an ABS licensee. Folks, again, our training class is just right around the corner. It's coming up here in September, September the 22nd through the 26th. This class is filling up quickly. We'll share with you a little bit more about that and what you're going to need to do to get going and be a part of this September class. I will make mention, though, that after this class, there are only 2 classes left for the rest of the year. We actually skipped the month of October because of how it all flows. So we'll be doing one in November, and the last one will be in the month of December. So, I mean, this year is just flying by, and it is just incredibly going by quickly. So you really do want to get involved in one of these upcoming trainings. And the reason I'm showing this back again is because we fail a lot of times to tell you all about our website, but we do want you to come in and learn more about us, meet the team, because there you get to meet all of the team. And one of the ones I want you to meet today is Jason Pettit, who is our creative director here at American Business Systems, and he does all of our logos, everything that you're going to see here today, what we help you with your marketing pieces. So, Jason, it's good to have you here this afternoon to join us.
Well, thank you, Eric. It's good to be here, and thanks for everybody all across the U.S. who's joined us today. Hopefully we can cover some good topics here and get some good information and education. Thanks for having me on, Eric.
Absolutely. And part of that, what Jason's talking about here, we want to make this webinar about you. So we want you to be able to ask any questions as we go through today's webinar. Don't just let Jason and I just rattle on all day long about just showing you slides here and there. This is your opportunity to really ask your questions, to find out about what does it take to get this business started, and then really how you get clients. So again, in your control, your GoToWebinar control panel, you'll see down there a little section there where you can ask questions. You feel free to type in those questions. We'll be monitoring those questions throughout the presentation today as we get started here. So Jason, this is, as we've just blasted out to everybody about this particular webinar, is how to launch a new business and acquire clients. And I know from both you and I, we deal with a lot of folks here, and that's probably the number one question we get is, how do I get clients? You want to kind of start commenting on that of maybe some things that you get to share about?
No doubt. I mean, as you do your investigation into a business, there's always a lot of questions initially that you want to try to get answered. But at the end of the day, regardless of the types of systems we have or how good our marketing materials are or any of the other things that we have for you to explore, if you can't get clients to generate an income with your business, then none of the rest of it really matters. So it's by far the most important question that we get, and we're going to spend a lot of time exploring the 3 main ways that we do help you get clients as you start your new business.
Yeah, and as he said that, these are the 3 topics that we're actually going to discuss today. And certainly there's more to everything that we have to offer here. But, you know, we're going to talk about training, what we cover in training. So if you've got questions on training, that would be a great time to ask some of those questions. The tools of the trade, so to say, about what we do to help you with those marketing pieces or anything else like that. And finally, we're going to discuss there about demos. But kind of getting back to what we were talking to there as the title of the webinar today of, you know, how do we get clients? I know, Jason, that one of the questions that just kind of follows up with that, I want to kind of talk about this, we'll kind of bounce this around a little bit, is that, okay, we talk about people, or talk to people about how we help them get clients, but what kind of follows after that is, aren't doctors already have someone doing their billing? So
right.
Why don't you address that a little bit?
Well, yeah, you know, I think there's a perception that most people have. I certainly had it when I came into the business about 7 years ago. I was speaking with the founder's son, Adam, who's now the president of the company, and my career in the mortgage industry was coming to a close. Those of you who paid attention to the news a few years ago know what happened in the mortgage industry. And so I was talking with Adam about what everybody was doing over here at American Business Systems. And that was actually one of my main questions is, why in the world would a doctor, you know, highly skilled, highly trained, need someone like your licensees to come in and help? And, you know, what reason would they have to not just put those processes in place themselves? And what I discovered after speaking with it, well, what Adam did was he invited me to come out and audit one of the training sessions. So I came in, met the trainers, talked to some of the licensees, and what I discovered through that was the opposite was true of what I thought. I thought that, it would be very few doctors that would need help, and most of what you get would be objections because doctors had everything under control and everything was great. And what I discovered was the opposite of that was true when I started talking with some of our seasoned licensees who'd been out on the streets, growing their client base, and with our trainers and everything who had been growing their client base, is they had discovered that there's such a great need, and when they would go into some practices, they're actually able to help the doctor keep the doors open, which is a big difference than my initial perception was, maybe you could find one doctor in 100 who would even talk to you. It was quite the opposite. There was much opportunity.
Yeah, and there is, but I think what both you and I have seen, both in the training and then folks leaving the training, and even some people that want to kind of do what we've kind of seen before is they want to kind of go pre-market out there. And folks, we want to kind of caution you with that because the last thing you want to do is go out there, like what we've got here on the screen, is go ask a doctor, hey, do you need some billing help? Well, they're going to tell you no. And so this is all the more reason why we want you to, for those that are looking to get into this business, is to get in on our training and hear how we get you in past what we would say the gatekeeper. This is where you learn. Matter of fact, Jason, just a couple of days ago, I got an email from someone that was actually looking in and trying to figure out, about when they want to get started here. Do they have to attend this training class? And, to me, this is imperative. So let's talk a little bit about training there, about how crucial this training is.
Yeah, the training is definitely really important. What I always tell the folks I'm working with is you need to have a really good excuse for not coming to training, a really good excuse, because we feel like taking 5 days out to make a great foundation for your business, get a good handle on the game plan that you have to grow your client base quickly, and set some goals out there, and also get to know the product line and the materials, and get to know the interface and everything. It's just crucial that you're involved with the 5 days of live training. But before we move on, I want to pause here for just a second, Eric, and remind everybody we can actually see your questions when you type them into your control panel, as Eric mentioned earlier. And I haven't seen any questions come through, but if you've got them, put them in there, because Eric and I can both see that screen. And throughout this webinar, we are going to address those questions. So as soon as we start seeing questions pop in there, we'll pause from time to time to answer them. It makes it a little more interactive, so feel free to put them in when you're ready.
There you go. Thanks so much, Jason. All right, so as Jason was talking about, and one of the reasons why we kind of caution people to, before you kind of go pre-market out there, or even after you get through his training, just don't go out there and rush out to the doctors and say, hey, do you need some billing help? Folks, we really work this whole training in positioning you as not a medical biller, or not even as a medical billing company, but rather as a revenue cycle specialist, as you see here. And really, more importantly, revenue recovery is what I like to kind of talk about, Jason, because even though that the doctor's offices, and to the degree of what people understand, that they're already doing billing. All doctors are already doing billing, but they're not recovering all of their revenues. So that's why I kind of like to talk about revenue cycle specialists or revenue recovery. And so, folks, as you can see here, that's what we want to position you as, and that will help you get through that gatekeeper, as Jason and I were kind of talking about here just a moment ago.
Yeah, it's an important difference. The idea of talking about being a billing company versus a revenue cycle management company, or being a revenue cycle specialist. One thing that I always like to say is it's fairly easy to get the right answer to the wrong question. And if you go into a doctor's office and you say, hey, I just started a new medical billing business, do you have a need for medical billing services? That is the quickest way to get a no answer, because the doctor already has some type of process in place to handle their billing. They have to, unless they are a cash-only physician, which is pretty rare. And so by going in and approaching it with the wrong question, you're going to get the same answer every time, and that is it's already under control. However, if you position it differently, as Eric just mentioned, as a revenue cycle specialist. You talk about some other things that we teach you in training, like talking about being part of a nationwide network of over 1,500 offices. We specialize in improving your bottom line, and it's our job to help make sure that your revenue is maximized in your office. It's a different conversation, and what you're trying to get to is that consultation that allows you to point out the different services that are going to most benefit the doctor.
And along those lines, Jason, I mean, we've got a couple of questions already coming in, and from Mike, let's address that one about the gatekeeper. What about the gatekeeper? You know, this is one of those areas that, I mean, again, it seems like that whole medical staff is behind this bulletproof glass there. So how do we kind of recommend folks getting past that gatekeeper there?
Well, it is a challenge. I mean, not just in this industry. You know, the whole gatekeeper idea when it comes to sales is a complicated one, because it's their job to keep you from talking with the decision maker. In our particular business, it's especially difficult because we don't have the same ability to interact with the doctor because of not only their position, but because of their involvement with the privacy of their patients and their involvement with the workload that they have. You're also in competition with some of the other reps that are regularly in the office that know the doctors, and so it can be a challenge to bypass the gatekeeper. One way that we have found that it's quite a bit easier to bypass the gatekeeper than just walking in off the street is by using a sales rep, a medical sales rep who already has a book of business in the area, who you could work with on a commission basis to bypass the gatekeeper, because the sales rep will already know the doctors. We have a formal sales rep program that we teach you in our 5 days of live training, and many of our licensees have had great success in using those sales reps to kind of leapfrog that gatekeeper that is in place that can be a challenge sometimes.
Yeah, and matter of fact, those sales reps, and I mean, I don't know how well maybe you can see this list in here, but if you kind of look about halfway down the list here, this is our training workshop student manual. You'll see right there, and what Jason's talking about here, we actually have a section in there about working with sales reps. So this is what you're going to find in this training. So this is why, as you can see through all of this information as we're going to kind of go through here, we're just going to start putting up some of the information that you will go through this training class and what it means to go beyond of just being a medical billing company. Certainly we're going to go over an overview of medical billing. We're going to go over the iClaim and the EMR system overview and certainly kind of go through that. There's going to be lots of hands-on. Some of these features that we talk about here as meaningful use, we're going to go through that. The intro marketing and warm marketing, actually we're going to talk a little bit about that towards the end. Networking, marketing via classified ads, working with staff members, and again, working with potential sales reps. Sometimes the sales reps don't necessarily have to be your sales rep, so to say. They could just be the one to, if they've already got a contact, Jason, with someone, especially that gatekeeper, just them being kind of sort of that warm market might get you past that gatekeeper immediately. So so we try to look at it from every single angle when we're getting into that. Then once you get past that gatekeeper, I think one of the biggest challenges I think any business has is their marketing pieces. And I know we're going to kind of recover this in a moment, but everything that you see here on the screen, whether it's iClaim, EMRX, Audit Guard, Choice Pay, AutoCard, these are the topics that we're going to be get into you. So we don't want you to necessarily get to that gatekeeper and say, hey, I'm here, I'm the new medical billing company in town, do you need some? It may be where you go in there and talk to them about the Audit Guard, and again, we'll get into those a little bit more detail, and we've got very specific webinars where we kind of go through each one of those, but I'll just take that Audit Guard real quickly, and that's where we can show the doctors and their office staff from being protected against like a Medicare audit. And that's very critical. And so when you start talking along those terms, that's what's going to expand out there. And we want to kind of just show you a few pictures of our training class, and so that you kind of get a familiarization. And so you can see that sometimes you got a couple of people up there, but Jason, let's kind of talk about the dynamics that they have in this particular class going on here.
Well, yeah, we compared to maybe other college type environments, we have relatively small training sessions here in Dallas. Of course, the next one coming up September 22nd for the 5 days of that week, Monday through Friday. We usually have between 15 and 20 new licensees in training. And so it gives the opportunity for everybody to have a very high level of interaction with our trainers. And by the way, our trainers are all licensees. So they have experience in the industry. They know how to work with clients. They know the objections that come up. They know the questions that come up during the implementation process, and even going into the operations after the client is up and running. They've experienced it all. So you're not learning, just sort of book knowledge. You're actually learning some really, really good principles that only comes with experience. So the trainer to attendee ratio is always great.
Yeah, and it is great. And part of what you're going to learn there, and so many people ask about this, is am I going to have some hands-on training? And what we're going to show you is how to take what you see on the screen there, which is basically the CMS 1500 form in paper form, and we're going to show you how that actually is going to go into the iClaim portion of it electronically. And don't let all these codes scare you, because let's set the platform right now. You're not getting into medical coding. You're getting into medical billing. And the billing portion either comes from that doctor's EMR system or our EMR system, or it's going to come actually from the doctor. So you're not having to be worried about whether you're going to have to learn coding. There's a couple of questions that have come in here, Jason, so let's pause here real quickly, because William's asking a question here, and I'm going to throw it out there and I'll let you answer it. I've seen medical billing courses take several semesters to get certification. How does your training compare to that? Does your software package compensate for the shorter duration? Don't know what that last part of that means, but let's just tackle the first part of it.
Sure.
How does your training compare to getting a certification in medical billing?
Well, William, that's actually a great question, and this is a good slide to illustrate that. There's two different types of services that we provide to doctors. The standard billing service is what you see on your screen right now that we're displaying, which is essentially the conversion of this paper form into the electronic claim form that we submit to the insurance company. And that is actually an extremely straightforward process. In about a day and a half of training, we can teach you how to do that, because there's no decision making. The doctor and their office, they provide the codes for the procedures and the diagnostics. So that all comes across to you, and you simply put it in the right area of the electronic form. So we can teach you to do that in a couple of days. Now, William, what you're asking about, the certification courses, that is involved with the decision making, determining which is the most optimal code for any given procedure. And you're right, there's quite a bit more training that's involved with that, because you have to be able to choose the right code for the procedure and the right level of interaction and complexity with that particular patient encounter. And the certification courses are, as you say, anywhere from 6 months to, I've seen, 2 years. And so you're not going to be doing that level of billing and coding. For those, we actually have a completely separate service that our team of certified billers and coders will handle that work for the doctor. And they will actually take a look at the patient charts, they'll review the patient encounters, and they'll help the doctor with their decision making of how to best choose the most optimal codes. By the way, on average, we usually see about a 30% improvement in reimbursement for doctors that use our Audit Guard and CodeWrite services to get their coding dialed in just right. So great question. You're going to be handling the standard billing, which is very simple to do. And for the more detailed heavy lifting, we've got a team of coders that can provide that to the doctor.
Exactly. And one of the things, William, to kind of help this also to understand, is to understand that you're not just going in here just because to become a medical biller. You really got to get the mindset that you're becoming a medical billing company or a revenue cycle specialist company, that you're there, and if you need to, you can always hire someone that may have a certain certification. So you as the owner, the company owner, you don't have to always be the one that's always having to do the heavy lifting either. So again, these are some snapshots of the training that we wanted to kind of show you here. Again, some of the interaction we go into, as you can see on this one, we're talking about deductibles and co-insurance and all that information. But I think one of the best things is again, the interaction and the role plan that we do, because we want to make sure that when you leave training that you have not only a somewhat of a game plan, but almost like some real world understanding of how to actually communicate this information, and this is one of the areas that we do that in. And so, Jason, let's move from there because I want to we're going to spend a little bit more time here in the tools area. So, folks, if you have any more questions about the training, and if Jason and I haven't gotten to those, because we see a lot of questions that are still piling in here, the person that you're working with here at ABS, we get copies of all these questions. So if we just don't hit your question during this live portion of it, it will be followed up. So guarantee that your questions will be answered. I think we answered just about all of them in there. And if we towards the end, if we need to, we can kind of come back. Let's get into the tools because, Jason, you know, if there's anything that I think both you and I have seen over our career, whether it was our own careers or other people's careers when they're launching a new business, and that is this this analysis or this when they get into, oh my goodness, I got to get business cards and I got to get flyers and I got to get a website and I got to deal about pricing, and it just stumps them. So let's kind of talk about what we're able to provide and get past that that area where it just kind of starts stumping people. And this is where I would say your expertise comes into play.
Well, you know, the challenge of putting together a business package like we have at American Business Systems is to put all of the different things basically on rails so that when you make your investment in the opportunity and come through training, you have all the tools and resources that are there. Not only are they available for you, but it's easy to understand how to use them and how to access them and where to get help if you need help. And so kind of creating that whole business package, it's a challenge to get it dialed in just right. Now, we've been in business for over 20 years. We celebrated our 20-year anniversary in February of this year. So we're very proud that we've been in this industry a long time, and we put together a really dynamic business package that addresses all of the different areas that you'll come into with tools and resources and things that you need as you're growing your business. So all of the things that you will encounter on your journey of growing your business and getting clients, we have an answer for it, a solution for it, and a tool for it built into the business package. So the challenge with us was putting all that together in a way that's easy to get your hands on. And so that's some of what we're going to talk about now. I think you're talking about marketing tools here now, Eric. So at any business that you're going to launch and grow, you're going to need certain things. As Eric mentioned, business cards, marketing flyers, postcards, a website, a toll-free number, a fax line, all those types of things that are built in. We have all of that set up for you ready to go. And as you can see from the marketing tools slide here, these are all the different marketing pieces that you can give to the doctor. We have presentation folders as well. You've seen that already in the presentation earlier. And even a website. We help you launch a semi-custom website. You pick the graphics. We put all your contact information on the website. It's all ready to go. We can usually have these websites up and running in 3 or 4 days for you. And all you have to do is provide the information with your phone number and address and things like that. So everything's set up, and we build the car for you. We give you the keys. All you have to do is step in the car and turn on the ignition and press the pedal. How fast you want to go depends on how hard you want to press that gas pedal.
That's it. And with the marketing tools, this is to get you to and maybe past that gatekeeper, because believe it or not, doctors are actually looking on the internet for medical billing companies, because either they're unhappy with what they're doing collection-wise with their own biller in their, what you would say, in-house biller, or they're unhappy with their current outsourced billing company. So really, again, believe it or not, there are a lot of doctors and a lot of office managers that go out there and start looking for that. And then so with the marketing pieces that, again, that Jason was so instrumental in putting together, and also here, everything that is strategically put together is to help brand you and brand the names of iClaim and EMRX to really get that out there. Now, what we don't think about all the time is, okay, well, I've got marketing pieces, and again, we can't show everything within the hour. We've got other webinars that we've done that with, but there's postcards, there's automatic drip campaigns that can be set up, and a lot of that's been a huge success with a lot of licensees. But one of the things I want to kind of just briefly touch on is right here. And one of the marketing tools that everybody has are people that you already currently know. And we want to caution here that we're not talking about network marketing, as you would think of multi-level marketing, where you're trying to sell something like some high-dollar toothpaste to somebody, your neighbor or your best friend or anything, but just simply talking with one another. And Jason, how many licensees do we know that got their first client just by going back and sharing with their neighbor or their buddy back at a ball game or anything, or like we're seeing here just over coffee, how out of that produces leads for these licensees to end up getting doctors?
Absolutely true. We hear all the time from licensees who say, I couldn't even believe how many doctors I'm loosely connected to when I really started looking at what my warm network was. And we actually, during the 5 days of live training here in Dallas, we have a warm market exercise that we do where everybody tries to write down all of the people in their life who they are connected to, who are either in the medical field or in the sales field or are professionals that are doctors or are connected to doctors. And what's interesting about it is you probably think off the top of your head, maybe you have 3 or 4 or 5 people you're connected to that might fit those guidelines. When you really start to sit down and write it out, we have people who have 50, 60, 100. I can't remember what the highest one we ever got was. It was like 200 people that they were connected to that were potential warm market connections. And so it becomes very important when you start to launch your business. Those are the best to cultivate first. And quite often we hear from licensees, their first connection is with someone that they actually knew, maybe not a great direct connection, but at least an introduction that got them moving along to their first client.
Jason, I've got to, and I want to share this real quickly because, and people can follow up on this as well. Our last training was just a few weeks ago, and I know we're kind of right in the middle between, last month's training and this month's training. One of the gentlemen out of the last month's training, his name's Curtis, he did this very thing. And yesterday, I was actually, nobody was available to do the demo for his potential new client, so I was able to take that one yesterday. And I actually did the presentation for a doctor's group based upon what we're just talking about right now. So 3 weeks out of training, he already has a demo, has already putting together a proposal, moving them again closer, and he told me today in a text, they've already given him referrals. That particular doctor has already given him referrals to other doctors. So we're not kidding about this, and
right.
So this warm market of what we're doing, and I know we kind of landed upon this slide here talking about it, but this is one of the best ways to get past folks that gatekeeper there. Once you get that, and one of the things that we're kind of talking about there is one of the first things you're going to end up doing is a practice analysis. So, Jason, walk us through what this practice analysis does for that particular office once you've got past the gatekeeper and you're actually talking to somebody now.
Sure. Well, this goes back to that initial question of, it's very easy to get the right answer to the wrong question. And for any of you who have ever sat down with a personal financial planner or a certified financial planner, CFP, when you sit down with someone like that, what do they say? They say, well, here's what we're going to do, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so. We're going to go over your debts, your income, your assets, where your stocks are, your retirement. We're going to go over your insurance exposure, and we're going to take a financial snapshot of your entire profile, and then we're going to identify the areas of greatest need for where you should put in action first. What's interesting about that is when you sit down with a financial planner, they never say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to get you plugged into some great life insurance right off the bat. How does that sound? If they did that, they would never move forward with any clients because most people are not very open to the idea of just launching straight into a discussion about life insurance. But one of the most common products for an initial consultation with a certified financial planner is life insurance. So it's all in how you position this. And when you're going in to interact with the doctor's office, it's the same way. It goes back to the question of talking about medical billing. That's not what we say. Instead, we focus on the benefits of the practice analysis, the 30% improvement to their revenue. And then once we go into the practice analysis with the doctor's office, we're going to really dig into the details to find out where we can best help that practice to most quickly increase the revenue. So we go through this questionnaire with the practice analysis that has, is your current system server-based or web-based? How many claims do you have a month? What are you currently spending on billing? And there's a whole list of questions to try to figure out which areas of improvement we could come in and help with. So the practice analysis actually becomes a very, very important part of the process, and it gives you all that data that you need to make the best recommendations. Now, that might very well be a recommendation for medical billing service, that most often it is. But you might also identify some much more acute needs. It's quite often we go into a doctor's office who doesn't need any help from us. Everything's fine. But then when you do the practice analysis, you find out they're sitting on $500,000 worth of patient collections, which we have a system that can help them recover a good chunk of that at a very low cost. So the practice analysis is very, very important as a first step.
I kind of like to associate this with, none of us would go to the doctor and say, hey, doctor, I think I've got this pain in my right side. What do you charge, and what are you going to charge me to do an appendectomy? The doctor would go, I don't even know if you have an appendix in the first place. They're going to have to do some type of analysis. They're going to have to do their testing and everything else. So one of the things that we teach here in the training is the doctors are always going to ask, okay, well, if you do medical billing, how much is it going to cost me to do the billing? And that's where we're going to teach you again how to make a proper proposal with the pricing. But you can't do that without that practice analysis because, as Jason said, you may find other areas that are more critical than just tackling the billing first. It could be simply just some areas of where we can just make one or two changes and really get that doctor's revenue up quickly. And once we're able to do that, or once you were able to do that as a new medical billing company, certainly that your trust level with that doctor opens up. So where Jason says, well, you may find that there's a $500,000 worth of patient accruing AR, accounts receivables out there, and you're able to go help the doctor collect a portion of that, where, as a lot of doctors will do, just write it off. And once you do that, that opens the door for everything else. But it all starts with that practice analysis, rolls into this proposal area, which I think now where you and I both like to go to, and that's talking about the live demos, because really, I mean, even some of the questions have come in already about, what's the return on investment whenever I spend my $25,000, how quickly am I going to get that back? And it's hard for us to put a monetary value on what these demos do. So, Jason, let's kind of walk through what we're talking about. Some people may not even know what I'm talking about here about the demos. So why don't you kind of address that a little bit as well?
Sure. Well, it's very important to connect the live demos to the practice analysis, because we do the live demos after the practice analysis has been done. Why do we do that? Because the demo is custom tailored to the doctor's special needs and interests. If the doctor's a cardiologist or an OBGYN or has some type of specialty practice, we're going to highlight different features in the system during the live demo, which, by the way, we need to be clear here. Our live demos are done by our software experts. And so you have unlimited live demos at your disposal when you get your prospective doctors through the practice analysis and you're doing your proposals. Our team will do the live demonstration of the software for the doctor. Now, as Eric mentioned, how do we sort of put a dollar figure on these live demos and the return on investment? I think I saw there was a question here about return on investment. There's quite a few questions in there.
There are. We've stirred the hornet's nest here. That's
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was actually from Danny. For the $25,000 investment, what's the average time for recoupment, or what's the average break-even or return on investment? How long or how many billable customers to recoup the buy-in? It's a great question, Danny. And these live demos sort of give you a little bit of a frame to look at that through. On our live demos, the majority of these live demos end with the doctor asking, "Where do I sign?" These are very impressive, and when the doctor sees the features and the value of the system, because these billing, practice management, and EHR systems are not all the same, and ours is very value priced compared to the others that are out there that have similar feature sets. So it's a very strong demo. Doctors who are on the demo, most often at the end of the demo, will say, "This is great, I've got to have this." There are several key features when our software experts run across those. For instance, the prescription feature that shows the prescription history from the insurance company that lists all of the prescriptions that have been filled for that patient by the insurance company that they're connected with. It's a huge feature, and one that's pretty exclusive to our iClaim and EMRX system. And when doctors see that in real time, it blows them away. So this helps you get clients. How many clients does it take to recoup the investment and hit your break even? At a $25,000 investment, one client will typically generate in the range of $25,000 to $35,000 a year in revenue to your new revenue cycle management company. So you're going to make $25,000 to $35,000 a year, and the investment is $25,000. So what we like to say is your return on investment is about a year to break even with one client. And hopefully that gave you a clear enough answer, Danny, to your question, but it is a great question. We say one client is a 1 year break even.
Yes, and usually after that first client, the second one kind of rolls through there. But I want to show you, everybody, how quickly and how easily, once you've done your proposal, what's kind of like the next step. And we're kind of doing two things at one time here, because I'm showing you actually the licensee support site, because this is another way. You can see we've got an 800 number there. You got email support, and you have live help online, so click here to chat based upon what's going on here on our licensee support site. This is where, once you become a licensee, you're going to gain direct access to this immediately. And so you're going to get a username and login. You're going to go to there where it says iClaim underneath the services. And when you get to there, you're going to get this request a free demo and consultation. And as you can see here, we're going to be asking you the practice name, who the contact people are, and all this information here. Is there billing desired? what's the practice specialty, and further down in here, we're going to be asking you some other questions about that particular practice. And the other thing is what we're going to be doing is asking you for that practice analysis there, too. Not to take anything away from what I just shared with you, but you can also see some of the latest support news that we keep up regularly. Here's a proposal walkthrough. So if you need ever help after training, you're always able to go back through here and kind of see the practice revenue report walkthrough or the proposal walkthrough. So we've got those listed on there as well. Then you go through that live demo. Again, as Jason said, your doctor's going to be on there, you'll be on there, we'll be on there, and at that point we're taking all the questions from that particular doctor to kind of get into this. And one of the things that Jason was mentioning here is some of the demo information that we're going to go to, and we do cater it towards that specific specialty. And again, we've got about 6 people that actually do the demos, so we're always here and available to do that. But this is what you're going to see. Once iClaim comes up here, we're going to be asking them some questions and going through this. And again, one of the things that is unique to our system is this part right here where it says eligibility request. And this is actually a built-in mechanism that all other systems have to go outside of their billing system to go check insurance eligibility. And again, once we're able to show that to you, the wheels start clicking. So again, let me encourage you, if you haven't seen one of our demos, ask and request that. We'll happily take you through the iClaim demo. You'll see that you're going to get this type of information. It's all web-based. Then we'll take you on a demo of the electronic medical records. We'll show you, and you can see demonstrated here for those that have a little bit of knowledge about medical billing. And this one right here where it says ICD-10, we're already geared up. We're ready. We were, like I think Jason mentioned earlier, we're one of 5 that were actually ready for this big transition. And so we'll take you on a tour of this and show you how practical this is for the doctor during these demos. Jason, you want to add any more about the information about these demos before we move on from here?
You know, I think we've got demos pretty well covered, and I don't know if you've looked at the question panel in the last few minutes, but we have just got a slew of them. I'm not sure I've ever seen so many, so we should maybe, we've only got a couple more quick slides, hop through those and then get right to it. If you want to,
let's do that.
You want to talk about doctor referrals, I'll find the first question.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so, and I think we're going to deal with that here, but one of the things that you get instant credibility with us, because one of the things that when you move from training, you got that first doctor, we get to do that demo, and we actually work with you as your back office. And so your experience level goes to a maximum on this. So a lot of people wonder about how do I make that transition? I'm brand new. I don't know anything about it. We actually make you, our 20 years of experience makes you seem as though you, too, have been in business for 20 years. So the next slide has to do with doctor referrals. Jason, since you've seen that question, you take it from here.
Well, one question that we get quite a bit, and I'll try to be brief here because I do want to get to the giant question list, is when it has to do with doctors wanting validation from your company that your services are legitimate and have good value and are high quality, and also that your software is legitimate and high quality. Doctors sometimes want to validate that, just as I'm sure those of you checking into our business want to validate our business as well. And a great way to do that is to speak with doctor referrals. So what we're showing on the screen here is actually a DVD of testimonials from doctors that have used our system. So they talk about not only how the platform performs, but also how their practice has improved after adopting the billing service and our billing practice management and EHR platform. So this is a great DVD as kind of a first step of validation for doctors.
There you go. And then we also have, if you got a specific doctor who says, you know, I'm glad you got the DVD, that's good and all that, but What about physical doctors? Do you have real doctors that I can talk to? And folks, we do. We can get doctors, but again, just like they are, we have to get that coordinated because another doctor just can't call up another doctor. That part of that has to be coordinated. And so most doctors understand that. We get that taken care of. So if they're looking for, a podiatrist or a cardiologist that's actually using the system, we can usually put them in contact with that. All right, so Jason, I think we've got about 10 more minutes. We've got a few more kind of wrap-up slides that we're going to kind of wrap up with, but let's kind of see what we can do to start back up at the top of this list of questions.
I've already got one selected.
Go ahead. I'll let you go.
This one's an easy answer, and I'll take this one. How many hours are the sessions for each day in the live training? That's from Constant, and it's about 8 hours, Monday through Friday, starting September 22nd is the next class. You spend about 8 hours. There's about an hour break for lunch. They go from 8 o'clock until 4 or 5 o'clock, depending on when they wrap up. And then on Friday, it's more like a half a day. It wraps up about lunch, 12:30 or 1, to give you the opportunity to fly back home that afternoon.
Good.
So, quick answer to that one.
And let's just, I'll take one and you take the next one. So I'm going to take this one from Kier. And the question is not to backtrack, but we're here at the end of the webinar, so we're doing a little bit of that. But so that I understand, ABS is not in competition with licensees. Is that correct? That is correct. We are not in competition with you. We ourselves don't own a billing company. We are not in competition with you. We are in partnership with you to help you build your business. So we're not out there trying to build a big medical billing company, although, a lot of people have asked us, well, why don't you? That's just not our model, and that's not, as Patrick, who is the owner and the CEO of the company, would never want to do that, and as he would say, cannibalize our licensees. We're just not going to do that. So hopefully that answered your question there. All right, take the next one.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. And hi, Kier. I've been working with Kier for about a week or so and talking with her, so glad you were able to join us today, Kier. The next question I've got here is another one from Constant. It was actually, I just missed this part of the question. It asked, what is the daily schedule for the live training here in Dallas? And we don't publish the schedule because the modules do move around a little bit, but just generally speaking, the first day to day and a half is spent on systems training, getting you familiar with the billing and practice management platform. We spend about a half a day on kind of business 101, helping you with launching the business, naming the business, forming your LLC, and those types of things. And then the bulk of the training is spent on product training, learning the services, learning how to position the services with the doctor, what the value and key features are, and of course how to price the services properly and make sure that your revenue you're generating from it is what it should be. So that's kind of a good breakdown, generally speaking, of how usually the training weeks go. But those modules can move around a little bit sometimes, so we try not to make it hard and fast. Even up until the day of training, we might move things around just based on where our trainers are at and how much is accomplished each day.
Yeah, because again, the class becomes a little bit dynamic, and so we always want to meet the needs of that particular class. So we do kind of monitor that and do that. Felix is asking a question about Felix. You ask, how can we make marketing not so overwhelming? Great question here. I love this because I think you got it nailed down. Docs don't have much time each day. Do we provide like an elevator speech? We actually do, Felix. We really tried to make it in talking points and get it quickly done, because there's going to get to a point where you do get, Felix, where you're going to get that doctor's attention and they're going to want to spend a little bit more time. But part of that marketing is how do we get that? And again, we attract that in several different ways. Again, certainly from that warm market. The better warm market you have, the marketing piece won't seem as overwhelming to the doctor, because you've kind of got that connection there. They're a little bit ready to listen to you. But if it's just a brand new, you're out there, you're out there in your area, and you're really trying to get your business established. We hear what you're saying. So we do address that in training and really share with you how to have that sort of that elevator speech. So Felix, great question there. We exactly hear what you're saying, and we make our marketing where it's not so overwhelming, but then very, very specific whenever the doctors are ready to sit and listen to you. Jason.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Eric. I've got a question here from Arshad. I'll touch on just briefly. The question was, are there any other charges besides the initial investment or licensing fee, the $24,990? And the quick answer to that question is all of the services have their own sort of costs that are built in on a transaction basis when the doctor starts sending you business. And all of this is outlined in our virtual brochure, which goes into great detail of the different costs that come up with the different services. And we could spend a lot of time talking about that, but it's pretty straightforward. You can either make a call to your American Systems rep, whoever you've been talking to up until this point, and they can point you to the place in the virtual brochure where that's all listed out, or I know they'd be happy to answer those questions specifically. But the general answer is, yes, there are other costs, but there's no other fees from American Business Systems. We don't charge you royalties. There's no profit sharing. There's no association dues. There's no kind of mystery fees that pop up that you have to pay back to us. There's just the cost of doing business, and the services all have transactional costs and setup costs and things like that.
And I think Jason, I saw a question that came in real earlier, and I mean about how much is the website going to cost? Again, folks, everything that we've shown you, all the services, all the marketing pieces, the website is all included in the $25,000, or the $24,990. It includes the week of training. What it won't cover, the only thing it doesn't cover is actually your travel here and the hotel stay here. But to kind of reiterate, everything that we've shown you today, again, we don't piecemeal this together. We don't have different packages. Everything that Jason and I've shown you today, training, the marketing pieces, the website, everything's included. John's got a question here, and we're going to take probably about just a couple of more here. He says, in addition to hiring sales reps, what about offering discounts for referrals or for signing a 2-year contract, etc.? John, we actually go through different ways that you can either, number one, pay a sales rep as commissions, or if you strategically work with these people, they just may be a finder's fee or a referral fee that you give them in that aspect. So, you know, let's say that you've got a relationship with a possible sales rep that's actually doing medical devices, and he or she has great connections out there, and they're able to give you a doctor who they've heard through the grapevine that they are struggling with their billing, and you land that contract. You can actually give a referral fee or a finder's fee to that particular person, and then if you want to give discounts to, you know, that first client, or discounts for signing that, because that question could kind of go both ways. If you want to give some discounts or anything to your potential new client, you can do that as well. So I've kind of answered maybe both sides of that. But
good job.
Yeah. So all right, let's take one more question here, Jason, and then we'll kind of go through the rest of the slides here.
Well, this is kind of a double whammy here. This is from Hannah, and the question is the support for lifetime? Yes, the support is lifetime for free. We do not charge for support. It's included in your business package as long as you're running the business. The other side of that question was, are software updates free? Yes, software updates are always free. That's one of the great benefits of using a web-based platform like iClaim and EMRXR. So all of that's included. There's never a charge for support fee. There's never a charge for software upgrades or updates when the code databases change and all that stuff. When you log in, you're getting the most recent version of the system upgraded and ready to roll. The dovetail on that, and there were actually two different people who asked this question, were regarding the platform and how it works with Obamacare. We're 100% compliant with not only Obamacare, but every other regulation that's out there. And we have a whole compliancy department that does nothing but work on the system and make sure that it meets all the guidelines, HIPAA, meaningful use, all the security guidelines, Everything is built in, and again, every time you log in, you have the most updated system, and yes, of course, it works with Obamacare.
Excellent. Well, there are a lot of questions, folks. I know we weren't able to get to everyone. We're coming up at the top of the hour. We will forward all these questions to the individual that you're working with, and they'll be happy to go through those. And so, again, as we kind of wrap up here, we want to end with some information about training and very specifically the money-back guarantee that you do get from here at American Business Systems. And this is actually written into the contract. So if you haven't gotten a copy of that, of the purchase agreement, and you want to know about this, here is the money-back guarantee. And no other business that we know of, a business opportunity or franchise, actually offers this. Once you've made your purchase, you're kind of locked in. Patrick wants to take it another step further. We understand that you're visiting us over the internet, over phone calls, over webinars, whatever they may be, and sometimes you just want to feel like you get into that car and you get to test drive it out. This is what this is all about. We want you to come to training. And yes, we've got to have the funds before training, but they are kept in a trust account with our attorney, and Patrick guarantees this. If at the end of training, at the end of the training workshop, for any reason, you do not think this business is right for you, for your family, you don't like the color of the walls, whatever it might be, simply tell any of the staff members, and we will arrange for you to receive a full refund of your license and fee. So that's in writing. That's what you get from us. It is the best thing we can offer for you to make sure that, number one, that we're real, that we're actually here, that you can sit through this week of training, see all of everything that Jason and I have talked about today, and kind of peel back the curtain, as they would say, and see everything. That's Patrick's guarantee back to you. Hey, as we kind of wrap up here, Jason, we're talking about the training. We're talking about the one coming up here. You and I both know, because of the way August fell with school, a lot of people that couldn't come to the training in August are coming to this one. We've got this class half full, if not more.
Yeah. If you're anticipating that September 22nd is the training that you want to make, I would suggest that you speak with your rep and get everything worked out and get your reservations made as soon as you can, because those seats are going to be full, and the room that we have has a maximum, and we're going to be so close to it, probably within the week that could be full. So
yeah,
very important to, if you're anticipating coming out, unless there's a huge reason why you shouldn't go ahead and make your reservations, I'd recommend doing it now.
Yep, let's get those get that going. We want to talk about next week's webinar. This is going to be very interesting, and Patrick shared this with the whole team today about one of our licensees, Benny Biordi. Benny's been around for quite some time, but Patrick wanted me to share this, and Jason and I both have met Benny. He's been down there in training. We've seen him several times, and we get to talk with him. He's a great licensee. But he just sent this, Jason, to Patrick, I believe either it was yesterday or this morning. He wrote this: Patrick, I just wanted to share with you that Stat Profit, which is his company, has been consistently collecting for our doctors a combined $500,000 a month. Take a nice percentage of that, and that equals a very nice business. We will now set our we will now set our sights on a new goal of $750,000 a month. Patrick, I just wanted to share this with you because you guys have done so much for me and for my family, and I know it brings you great joy to hear success from your licensees. Thank you for everything. That's next week's webinar. So if you're anticipating of thinking what you're going to do next week as part of your due diligence, put this on your calendar. Next Wednesday, same time, 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern, whatever it is on the, I think 1 o'clock over there on the Pacific Coast.
Yep, that's right.
Folks, you want to be a part of this. Listen to this Benny, the interview that Patrick's going to have with Benny. You'll certainly want to be a part of that. And if you want to learn more about us, again, we've got different avenues, different channels for you to do that. YouTube channel, for instance, you can go check us out there. You can follow us here on Twitter. We have a Twitter account. Certainly you can check out our blog. We keep up with news listings about things going on in the medical building, but again, as Jason and I kind of close out here, we can't emphasize more importantly, for if you're ready to get started, the September class is going to be big, it's going to be full, and then after that we've got 2 more. So there we go, Jason. Let's kind of wrap it up here.
Sounds good. Well, Eric, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, and thanks to everyone out there who has logged in today and lots of great questions. Make sure and touch base with your rep that you're working with, and anything that we didn't discuss, they can certainly get answered for you. So thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Jason, thank you for taking your time. Thank you again. Be sure, again, we'll make sure, as Jason said, we'll get through all those questions. Everybody have a great day, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you here in one of our training classes very soon. Everybody have a good afternoon. Thank you so much. Goodbye.